What's up, college football addicts? The Notre Dame program is no stranger to controversy. They're one of the most polarizing teams in all of college football. But recently, the controversy seemed to explode all over the internet. So today, we're going to talk about Notre Dame and run down 3 epic stories. First of all, shout out Notre Dame fans. We recently did a story on why we thought the new college football playoff format could really end up hurting Notre Dame and costing it tens of millions of dollars. And we heard a lot of surprising feedback from you Notre Dame Irish fans. And we heard a lot of surprising feedback from you Irish fans, which we're going to dive into a bit later. Our first story today is about some recent comments ESPN announcers made on First Take. Let's take a listen in.
You talk about you have no sympathy for Notre Dame. Why are they even relevant? Can somebody answer that question for me? The Notre Dame Fighting Irish in college football has not won a championship since 1988, when they won in the Fiesta Bowl. I think it was against West Virginia. Ladies and gentlemen, if my math is correct, that's 36 years.
Now, later on, during the same show, Paul Feinbaum went on to say that Notre Dame should join a conference and that Notre Dame fans could cry me a river. The other co-host went on to add, I have no sympathy for Notre Dame. They think that they are better than everyone else. Now, I know a lot of you fans out there are saying, yeah, but this is Stephen A. and Paul Feinbaum. And I know you Notre Dame fans heard that, and you probably have a bone to pick with them. But I also know a lot of fans of other teams heard that, and they're cracking a cold one. They're high-fiving and yelling, heck yeah. For me personally, I heard all this drama, observed it, and thought some of it was valid, and other parts of it, maybe not so much, and just sat back and smiled. Do you love college football? I know I do. If you're going to go for somebody's jugular, I'd much rather have it be about sports. I'll take sports and the things that we cover here on this channel over politics every day. But Notre Dame fans, you guys know you're the most valuable team on the open market. No offense to FSU fans, but Notre Dame has an absolute army of fans. Outside of Ohio State, Notre Dame likely has the largest fan base in all of college football. So I'll give credit where credit is due. And to the Notre Dame haters out there, I get it. This team has tons of political connections and get lots of benefits of the doubt. They are always the center of attention, regardless if their record deserves it. Heck, they fooled the ACC into giving them full voting rights, even though they didn't join the conference in football. So honestly, after hearing Stephen A's tirade on Notre Dame, I had a few thoughts. Notre Dame is typically the most important member in the room. The thing that I think that other fans of other teams don't necessarily like is that Notre Dame knows they're the most important member in the room almost at all times, and they also act like it at times. They know their you-know-what doesn't stink, so to say. And that gets on people's nerves. But it doesn't take away from the fact that Notre Dame truly is at the head table when it comes to programs in college football. It's also fair to question their current relevance. Notre Dame may have invented the forward pass, but they certainly haven't done anything with it for most of our lifetimes. About half of the people who will watch this video have never seen Notre Dame have true relevance. And so, is it finally time for them to be back? Next, let's talk about the news leaking out of the college football playoff meetings and how it could potentially impact Notre Dame. Now, I've already covered how ESPN and Fox have joined forces, aka the Big 10 and the SEC. And I've already talked about why I think the new partnership could cost Notre Dame tens of millions of dollars in any given year. But recently, we reached a whole new level of cooperation, because it leaked that the SEC and the Big 10 are arguing that they deserve 4 guaranteed spots each. That's right. Out of a 12-team playoff, they're arguing that the Power 2 deserve 8 of those spots. And if this passed, it would mean that after you give those 8 spots to the SEC and the Big 10, of the 4 remaining, 1 would go to the ACC champ, 1 would go to the Big 12 champ, 1 would go to a group of 5 champ, leaving only 1 spot left. I don't know about you guys, but it sure sounds like a heck of a lot of guaranteed spots that Notre Dame can't possibly fit into. They would have 1 spot available left. And we've talked about this. A 10-2 Notre Dame or a 9-3 high-level SEC team. A 10-2 Notre Dame or a high-level Big 10 team. If the SEC and the Big 10 get their way, they are certainly going to go after that team that gets their conference millions and millions of more dollars. The Big 10 and the SEC will fight for their teams, and Notre Dame on their own island has no one to fight for them. It's kind of like Florida State, who didn't have the ACC fighting for them, but even if they did, I think they would have been laughed out of the room because nobody cares what the ACC thinks. But as we've covered before on this channel, this is the consequence of not being in a conference. There are pros and cons of it. And of not being in the Power 2 specifically, it is a consequence. ESPN and Fox are going to keep consuming and eating and growing more powerful. I think that eventually Notre Dame's hand will be forced. I think that eventually they will have to join a conference. There's rumors around scheduling agreements or possible ways that they could be affiliated with a conference and not join. But at the end of the day, if a 12-team playoff had 11 automatic qualifiers and Notre Dame only had 1 spot left, they'd get left out more times than they wouldn't. And that's only the years that they deserve to get in. They're 12-0 and 11-1 and 10-2 years. Now, again, I've already done a video about how the SEC and the Big 10 have joined forces together and are working together. And I know a lot of you fans from Notre Dame weighed in down in the comment section. Surprisingly, I've heard from a lot of you that said you look forward to joining the Big 10. I was shocked at how many Notre Dame fans said that. I thought that your take would be that we want to keep our independence. But unsurprisingly, the other half of you said we'll never join a conference and you'd rather lose money than to lose independence, which I thought was kind of funny. But the last thing I want to talk to you guys about today is how there's a lot of smoke coming out there about the possibility of Notre Dame joining the Big 10. I'm hearing from a lot of people out there that are saying that if Notre Dame goes along with the guaranteeing of these spots to the Big 10 and the SEC, that they're tipping their hand. And I'm hearing some chatter that Notre Dame to the Big 10 is close to being a done deal. Nothing official, nothing confirmed, but just some chatter from people who live in these conference realignment worlds. And if Notre Dame is agreeing to the Big 10 getting all these spots or the SEC getting these spots, it wouldn't make sense to me unless they were at that table. It wouldn't make sense to me for Notre Dame to be going along with the idea that 11 out of 12 of our playoff teams are going to be AQs, automatic qualifiers, unless Notre Dame is somehow sitting at that table with them. It would make no sense to me for Notre Dame to be open to the fact that there's really just one at-large bid. How many times would Notre Dame have to get screwed out of that at-large bid before they would change their mind? And so who knows? Who knows which way it would go? Who knows which direction it would go? But to me, Notre Dame is closer to joining a conference than they ever have been. There are rumors, like I said, around a scheduling agreement with the Big 10 about Notre Dame possibly having the sweetheart deal that they have with the ACC right now with the Big 10. And if you're the Big 10, it may make sense to do this. But I would only agree to it if I'm the Big 10 if it led to a path of them joining. You see, the ACC's mistake was that they gave Notre Dame full power just to schedule some games with them, just to have them on their schedule, when in reality that did nothing much to help the ACC. Not like it would have done if the ACC would have had a backbone and said, no, you're joining us or you're out. The Big 10 has enough power to do that. The Big 10 has enough clout to do that. The ACC likely didn't. But if the Big 10 can get it done, we're looking at an entire new college football landscape. What if the partner for Florida State isn't Miami, it isn't Clemson, but at the end of the day, the partner for Florida State is Notre Dame to the Big 10? How much fun would that be? You're not worried about, oh man, Clemson's not a fit, or Miami doesn't have the standards to get in. But if Florida State and Notre Dame were your two, that gets pretty serious up there in Big Ten country. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Listen, Notre Dame fans, I appreciate you guys living down in the comments of our last video. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. We're at just about a month of doing this, and we appreciate you guys for showing love. We appreciate those that argue with us too. Hey, we're not right about everything, but these are our takes, and we appreciate that you love college football as much as we do, so make sure you're subscribed to College Football Addiction.